When you think that I had a 5% chance to live, no chance of completing college, and don't tell me what I can't do.
Hi, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg. On the show, you get my conversations with peak-performing thought leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs. We explore how you can innovate through creativity, compassion, and collaboration. I believe that innovation combined with compassion and creative thinking can save the world, and I aim to bring you ways you can do it too. If you're enjoying the show, I'd be super grateful if you can support it by buying me a cup of coffee. You can buy me a cuppa at buymeacoffee.com/IsoldeT. And now, let's get on with the show. Hey there, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg. I'm super happy you're here, and I am thrilled with today's guest. You're gonna he's amazing. Steven Heidenreich, you have to hear this. He's an Olympic athlete, a sub 4-minute miler, only one of 1,400 men in history to achieve that. While training for the USA Olympic team, a near fatal hit and run accident changed his life forever. His neurosurgeon gave him a 5% chance to live. And despite a traumatic brain injury and these unfavorable odds, Steven completed a Master of Business Administration at Indiana University and a Master's in Education specializing in special ed. In the face of tremendous physical and mental challenges, Steven also trained for the 1980 Olympics in Moscow. Isn't that amazing? I'm so excited and thrilled and honored to welcome you to the show. Steven, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Isolde. It's a pleasure to be here. I have a very exciting story to share with your listeners. It's really incredible. I was blessed to be coached by 3 Olympic coaches in my track and field career. And what I learned to do is to use the tools, the skills that they taught me and developed me as a Olympic world-class athlete. I learned to use it in other areas. So the night of the accident, I was studying at the library to get a 4.0 GPA. And I was on track to get a 4-point GPA that semester. So my goals, I always had big goals. The goals were to make the Olympic team, to break 4 minutes in the mile, and have a 4.0 GPA at Indiana University. So after I was done studying, I went home, got into my USA uniform, started facing traffic, running on the left-hand side of the road. And I could hear the roar of an engine behind me. And a car came over from the right-hand side. I tried to jump out of the way. It hit me from behind. I flew over the car, and my head slammed against the concrete. My skull split. My jaw broke, and I was left to die. A few moments later, a truck stopped. He saw a body on the road. Not sure what it was at first, but when he saw the blood coming out of my head, he knew I had suffered a tremendous injury, and he was having a flashback, riding in a helicopter, going over rice paddies, and he knew what he had to do. He had to come to my rescue. He grabbed his winter coat, he covered me, treated me for shock, waved down the next car, and said, "Go 2 blocks north to the hotel, call 911. This soldier has been seriously injured." I was rushed to the hospital. Dr. Rack, my neurosurgeon, came in. I grabbed him by the shirt, and my last words were, "Help me. Please help me." Dr. Rack finished college at 18, started medical school at 19. and he would perform the brain surgery to help me recover. Dr. Rack gave me a 5% chance to live because of the severity of the traumatic brain injury. And if I lived, most likely I'd be vegetative. I would not be able to complete college, nor would I be able to compete again as a runner. When I came to, and my mother told me that, I said to Mom, does he know who he's talking to? I'm Stephen Heidenreich. Don't tell me what I can't do. So I left the hospital, the mental age of a 2-year-old in a 23-year-old body. And I grew up again. My mother quit her job as a special education assistant, and she was my mother, teacher, nurse, 24/7. But here's what's exciting. My brain started healing miraculously, incredibly fast. And I wish I could learn that fast all the time. So I left the hospital as a 2-year-old. And by May, I'm reading Dick and Jane books. In June, I'm reading Charlotte's Web. And by August, I'm a 13-year-old again.
Wow.
And so being a 13-year-old, I thought, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to go back to school and complete my degree. So I went back to Indiana University, the mental age of a 13-year-old. But Indiana University stepped up in 1976. And the athletic department said, Stephen, no, you're no longer on scholarship. You've completed your eligibility, but we are going to give you access to a tutor Monday through Thursday night from 6 o'clock to 9:30 at no charge. And with the tools that I learned from the Olympic coaches, I took that challenge of my recovery the same way I took training for the Olympic team. I was so intense in my studies that my grades at first were real bad because I had to relearn all the vocabulary in the business school. Economics, accounting, marketing, finance. I had to learn those terms again, but they came back fast. And miraculously, that semester, I didn't make a 4.0. I got a 3.6 GPA that semester with permanent brain damage. I mean, that's incredible. I graduated in the next spring. And 14 months after the accident, I ran the mile for 4:21 in 4 minutes and 21 seconds. And I decided to train for the 1980 Olympic team. Later, I got the opportunity to get my Master's of Business Administration degree at the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. Here's what's really interesting. We had to take this test, this GMAT test, General Management Aptitude Test. And there's 800 points. And because of my permanent brain damage, I scored 400 points. 400. There was no way I was going to get into the Indiana University Business School. Well, I got a call from the dean of the business school. He wanted to talk to me about going to the school. And he said, Stephen, your test scores are terrible. Your overall GPA is not that good. But the last year after your accident, your grades were unbelievable. So I'm letting you in on one condition. You can't get any grades below a B. Yes, that's a B minus, no questions asked. Do you accept that challenge? And I stood up and I shook his hand and I took that challenge. And the first semester in the Indiana University MBA program, I scored a 3.91. I finished my degree with a 3.67. And I'm very proud to have accomplished that. And also my master's in special education. Since I was a special education student in a way in college, I know what needs to be done for those students to be successful. And I applied the things that I learned in my recovery to my teaching. And my special ed students had tremendous success, incredible success. Some special ed students are managers. One girl wanted to be a chef, but as a senior in junior in high school, she had at the best middle school math skills. And I told her, Sharon, we've got to work on your math. If you want to be a chef, you got to know your math. And for 2 years, we worked so hard that as a senior, she finished at grade level, went to a culinary school, is an executive chef. It owns her own restaurant.
Wow.
That is incredible. And so it's really just using the tools that I learned from the Olympic coaches and applying it to whatever area you have a passion for. And if you do the work, you will be successful. No doubts about it. You will have tremendous success. And that's what I try to share in my book. In my book, I show several steps of what it takes to be highly successful, including setting high goals. My goals were very high. Make the Olympic team, break 4 minutes a mile, get a 4.0 GPA. I found visualization as a tremendous tool. And I first used that as a junior in high school. As a junior in high school, I was one of the best runners in the state, probably about the third best. And one of my competitors, Jeff Schemmel, said he was running 4:17 in the mile, and he was going to run under 4 minutes and 10 seconds. 4 minutes and 10 seconds. And I thought to myself, I don't think he can improve that fast. So I said to myself, what is the best I can run? 4:16. So the whole week before the state meet, I visualized running a 4:16 mile. Every lap, 64 seconds, 2:08, 3:12. In the last lap, I would pass my competitor, break the tape in 4:16, and win the state meet. Well, here's what really happened. What really happened is the gun went off, and my competitor ran his first lap under 60 seconds. He was on sub 4 minute mile pace. My teammate and I, 64 seconds, first lap. We were 60 yards behind him. Unbelievable. Next lap comes by. He's at 2:04. We are at 2:08. Still 40 yards behind him. There was no way that the fans thought that we could catch him. And the next lap came by. We were at 3:12, but we were only 2 seconds behind the leader. And in the middle of the first curve, I passed him. And he just started jogging. My teammate passed him in the backstretch, and I finished crossed that line just as I visualized in 4 minutes and 16 seconds. I taught myself that as a junior in high school, and I used that technique through all of my performances. And it's an incredible skill to learn. And you can learn that skill by reading my book, Running to Win. So that's just a couple of the points that I have in my book, Running to Win. And you can learn the other strategies by reading my book. You can purchase my book either on my website at stephenheidenreich.com or at amazon.com, or you can get an autographed copy by emailing me at heiden216@gmail.com, HEIDEN 216@gmail.com. And before we go any further, I have some special thanks. This is all has been made possible thanks to Carlos Santos. Carlos Santos works for the Northwest Center for Colorado Independence. And I told him my story, and I told him how I wanted to be a professional speaker and an author. And he thought that was incredible. He says, that's a great idea, Stephen. You need to go talk to the Colorado Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. Tell them that I referred them. And so because of the Colorado State Independent Living Center, the Colorado State Rehabilitation Council, and the Colorado Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, I earned a grant to help me start a small business to become a professional speaker and an author. And that is just an incredible gift from the Colorado DVR. Just unbelievable. It is really helping me launch my career as an author and as a speaker. And it is already helping people around the world. I have sold books in the United Kingdom, Canada, the Philippines, and the United States. And people love the message, love the inspirational story that motivates people to take action to become a champion. So it's pretty exciting. I'm really glad to be helping other people to become successful. And really it's not only just high school students, college students, but I'm helping people in all aspects of life. Coaches, disabled people. The list is incredible, and it is very exciting. And it's my passion. I love helping people. The more I can help, the better.
Wow. Stephen, you're so inspirational. That's amazing. Incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it is an incredible story. You know, when you think that I had a 5% chance to live, no chance of completing college, and don't tell me what I can't do.
Absolutely.
What's really amazing is when I talk to people, a lot of people don't realize how much talent they have. How much there's the skills that they have that they just need to kind of set that aggressive goal, work on it, stay focused, go for it, and they will be successful, very successful. When you think that I've helped special education students become managers, if I did it, you can do it. You can do what you have a passion for. And that's the key. People have to set their goals in an area that they love, in an area that they have a passion for. I love inspiring, motivating people to take action to be successful. That is my gift. That is my passion. And if they find and use these principles, tools that I'm talking about in Running to Win, and they do that, and apply the work ethic that is needed, nothing's going to stop them from being very successful. And gosh, wouldn't it be great if we had more successful people in our country? That would just be wonderful. And
For
so
sure.
that's what I'm trying to do.
I love it. I love what you're trying to do. When you talk about work ethic, what does work ethic mean to you? What makes for a good work ethic in your mind?
Well, at the age of 15, I watched the 68 Olympics. And that summer, I said to myself, and I weighed probably 110 pounds then. I was skinny, scrawny. I was slow. I had really not much athletic skill. But I set a goal then to break 4 minutes in the mile and to be on the USA track team. I told my neighbors and I told my teammates, and they all laughed at me.
Hmm.
They said, Stephen, first of all, you live in Watertown, South Dakota. Our winters are brutal. To be an Olympian, you have to train twice a day. And Steve, you're slow. Well, I didn't let their ideas stop me. I started training twice a day as a freshman in high school. And what I did was I talked to my coach about it, Coach Godfrey, and who became an Olympic coach. I said, Coach, we got to start training twice a day. And so my route was to, I would pick up my teammate, Drake Teetsy, and then we would pick up Barry Carpenter. Now, this is what's interesting. Barry Carpenter was the quarterback of our football team, but he wanted to work out with us in the mornings. And then I'd pick up Coach Godfrey, and then we'd run back to my house and drop me off, and Coach would go around and drop everyone else. And that's what we did 5 days a week, even in the cold winters of South Dakota. And we got better. And 2 years later, Drake Teetsy and Barry Carpenter, Paul Stormer, and I ran the 2-mile relay in 7 minutes and 53 seconds. And that, here's a small school in South Dakota running one of the fastest times in the nation. Also that year, I anchored our medley relay team to one of the fastest times in the nation. And then the only individual mile run I won was the state meet that I told you about earlier, about the visualization tool that anyone can use. Anyone can use, and you can use it in whatever area you want to be successful in. Dance, debate, sports, academics. It's a tremendous tool. Lindsey Vaughn, she uses it all the time. Lindsey Vaughn and I have a lot in common. She will visualize skiing down the mountain 100 times. And that exercise puts in your mind in the same places that when you actually do it. So you're already practicing the movement that needs to be done, performing, going down the mountain, without really going down the mountain. It prepares your brain for a perfect performance. Incredibly powerful tool.
How does it do that? How does, first of all, for someone who doesn't know what visualization is, can you describe what you do when you visualize, and how does visualization allow your brain to behave as if you're actually doing it?
So, like in the first time, I visualized running 4:16. And this is a very good question. And so I figured that, okay, I've got to run every lap in 64 seconds. So I visualized where I had to be at the 220, the 440, the 660, 880, and I would get feedback for my runners, but I visualized that, okay, I've got to run a 64-second lap. And I practiced that several times a day before the state meet. And then when I came, I did it. Now, here's some interesting things about visualizing the perfect performance. I in one of my races against Olympian Nick Rose, Nick was an Olympian for Great Britain, and he was the NCAA cross country champion in 1975. And we were going to race against each other, and we both knew we would break 4 minutes. And he visualized winning the race, and I visualized breaking 4 minutes. And that's what happened. He won the race. His teammate was a rabbit and went out very fast in 1:55. So I was 5 seconds behind him. I had visualized just breaking 4, and I almost caught him. He beat me by about a half of a second, and I got what I visualized for. I visualized breaking 4 minutes. I didn't visualize winning. Another incident is on an indoor in 1976. So if you don't know, running fast on an indoor track is much harder than running fast on an outdoor track because of all the curves. So my goal was to break 4 minutes. Well, actually, my goal was to run 4 minutes in the mile on an indoor track meet at Indiana University. And that's what I got. I ran exactly 4 flat, 4.000. I didn't visualize breaking 4. So you've got to kind of be careful what you ask for because you kind of get what you think.
Right.
Against Nick Rose, I visualized breaking 4 minutes, and that's what I got. And then on the indoor meet, I visualized running 4 minutes, and that's what I got. I didn't visualize running under 4 indoors. So I kind of got what I asked for. But that was a tool I used all the time when I was on the USA team. I visualized winning, and sometimes I didn't. Sometimes a competitor, sometimes my teammate would beat me. But, I visualized defeating the Kenyans in the mile run with my last lap, and I did that with the last lap in 54 seconds. That was in Cleveland, Ohio. And in the middle of the last curve, just where I had visualized exploding, just like I planned, I got a 20-meter lead on the Kenyans, and that race was over. There's nothing the Kenyans could do with me having a 20-yard lead on them, just as I had visualized. And the Cleveland fans got on their feet and chanted, USA, USA, USA. And I crossed the finish line and did a victory lap like Stephen Prefontaine. And the fans were just going nuts because an American defeated the great Kenyan milers in actually their event. Again, the power of visualization.
Incredible.
So it just kind of, so you visualize it, and in your brain, it hits the same areas of your brain, what I've been told, that when you actually practice it. So it's a way to get an extra practice in without physically having to do it.
Mm-hmm. Does it take the same amount of time? Like, do you have to keep visualizing it for a 4-minute set amount of time if you're trying to run a 4-minute mile, or is it just imagine it as if?
That is a very good question. And I don't know the complete facts on it, but I think we are so gifted with an unbelievable brain. And I believe that we can do it faster.
Mm.
We can actually do it faster. So what you might do is visualize performing a sub 4 minute mile, and it might take you 1 or 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, you might use all 4 minutes. But if you're running like a cross country race, a distance race, cross country skiing, of course, you're not going to spend that time that it would take to run a 3 mile or a 6 mile or a cross country race. You would do it much shorter than that time.
Sure.
Again, it's still getting your mind. It's the power of the mind that helps you become successful.
I'm fascinated by what you're saying and the fact that you're taking some of these principles. I mean, in Running to Win, you're talking about how you can take these same athletic and athleticism principles and apply them to whatever it is you're trying to achieve, but you applied it specifically for yourself since you have an MBA for success in business. And I can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to use those same athletic principles and apply those practice methods and those techniques to your success in business?
Very good question. So the point is, so just for your information, when I was in high school, I graduated in the middle of my class. I did not have great grades. I was a good athlete, but it was not until college that I applied the principles that the Olympic coaches were teaching me to academics. And so my goal after my accident was not just to graduate. Despite my permanent brain injury, my goal was to get good grades. No matter what my challenge was, no matter what my brain injury was, no one was going to stop me from being successful. And that's the way I went after my grades in the MBA program. There's no way I should have had success in the Indiana University MBA program with my test scores. But the dean says, "God, Steve, after your accident, you got unbelievable grades." So here's the deal. He gave me the deal, and I took it. And I looked at his eye, and I shook his hand. And I was determined to be successful in the Indiana University MBA program and in the Regis University Special Education Master's program. And then in the workplace, I apply the same principles. It's the same principles to be successful. The ones that are taught in my book, Running to Win.
What are some of those principles? Because I know I've read the book, and I love how they're broken down in chapters. Chapter 1 is 1 minute on the stopwatch. Chapter 2 is 2 minutes. What if you could detail what maybe even the chapters are? What are the principles that you're using for both athleticism and business and success?
Well, so again, it's setting high goals.
Mm-hmm.
In business, as a businessman, you want to set high goals. The second item is visualizing the perfect performance. We've talked about that quite a bit already.
Mm-hmm.
Enthusiasm is important in the business world and in athletics. If you can take enthusiasm and you can show your enthusiasm while you are working with your customers, they will know it. They will see your passion. They will see that the salesperson is trying to help the customer meet their needs.
Mm-hmm.
So I consider that very important.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, work ethic is incredibly important. And Olympic world-class athletes have unbelievable work ethic. And that's important to be successful in whatever you want, whatever you have a passion for. You've got to be willing to do the work. It doesn't come free. But if you dedicate yourself to do that, you will be successful. The other thing I like to do in not only in coaching and in education, but also the workplace, is catch someone and give them positive reinforcement. One of my best tools in special education was I would catch a special education student doing something very well. And then I'd call their parents. And they think that, oh, what'd Johnny do? Did he do something bad? I said, no. I caught him doing something very well. His reading today was incredible. He's making great strides in his education. And I wanted to know the success he is having in my classroom. Would you help me? Would you help me help your son? Would you be willing to read with him 30 minutes at night? And you know what? I just hooked a parent. I just hooked his parents. And then we became a team. Later, after I made that phone call, I would write a letter on the school letterhead telling how well their son was improving in my special education class. Now, I just hooked the parents and they had great appreciation, and we worked as a team. And the same is positive reinforcement in the workplace. You know, I don't think a lot of our managers give enough positive reinforcement. And I think if they did, we'd have a lot more successful and a lot more happy employees. So that's very important. The other thing I find important is you got to have patience. You got to have patience. It took me It took me 7 years to break 4 minutes in the mile. I mean, that's a long time. But,
sure.
But you know, when you're trying to be the best, it's not going to happen overnight. But you've got to be willing to sacrifice and put in the work over time. I imagine that 5, 6, 7 years from now, I'll be a much better professional speaker because of the time and the practice I'm putting in, like an event we're having today, just like this podcast. Last night, I visualized this podcast.
Oh, wow.
And because that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. So thanks for asking those questions. Yeah, those are just some of them. I don't want to give them all to you today.
Always leave them wanting more, right?
Yeah. Because I want you to buy my book. I want you to get that autographed copy.
Well, could you do me a favor and repeat once again where someone needs to go to get a copy of your book?
Right. Well, you can go to Heidenreich.com and look under author, page of author, and then you can order it right there. And that will really just take you to Amazon.com. You can go to Amazon.com and get it there. And those will be, you'll pay for the book, you pay for the shipping, and they send it directly to you, to the address you put there. Mm-hmm. Or you can get an autographed copy by emailing me at Heiden216 stephen@gmail.com, and email me, and then give me your contact information, and we'll make arrangements for you to receive an autographed copy. I had a coach in Indiana, a track and field cross country coach, Jeremy Ant, and he read the book. He was one of the first readers. He wrote a tremendous positive review in Amazon.com. And a few weeks ago, he calls me and says, "Stephen, I want to order 15 more books. I want to order 15 more books to give to my seniors graduating from high school this spring.
Wow.
And I want them autographed." And so I personally autographed for each athlete that he has graduating, and that's the gift to his seniors. And I
That's
just
lovely.
think that's tremendous.
It is. It is.
That's
That's
tremendous.
wonderful.
And what he sees is them using these skills in their lifetime. These are not just athletic skills. These are lifetime skills. And that's what the Olympic coaches taught me through athletics.
So, Stephen, what's next for you? Where do you see yourself? Where do you visualize yourself moving into now?
Well, I've already got to start thinking about writing my next book, or
yes.
or updating this book, because there's going to be new information. You know, the information on visualization was tremendous. You know, a scientist from the USSR in the 70s had two groups of athletes. Actually, no more than that. 4 groups of athletes, and the first group just did the physical exercise, and the next group did 25% visualization and 75% the actual workout. But one group did 50-50, and the fourth group did 75% visualization, 25% working out. That was the effort. That's what they planned.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who had the best performance?
Who?
The visualization.
Really?
Yes, it was the athletes who spent most of their time visualizing the perfect performance. So since then, what's happened is now our U.S. Olympic team sends many sports psychologists to the Olympic Games to help our Olympic athletes, prepare for their performance. It's like Lindsey Vonn says, she'll go down the mountain 100 times before she does the race. Visually, in her mind, she will go down the mountain that often.
Wow. That's amazing. Stephen, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story today. This is inspiring and incredible, and I'm really honored to have you on the show. And I could probably listen to you talk for the next 6 hours, but I know we both have days to get back to. So I want to say that I will put all of the information and link to your site and your book. Excuse me one second. I'll link to your site and your book on the show notes page so that all of your new fans can come and find you and get a copy of the book. And I have just one question, and this is a kind of a silly question, but I ask it of every single person who comes on the podcast. And I find that even though it's a silly question, it usually gives some pretty poignant answers. And so here is the question. If you had an airplane and you could skywrite anything for the whole world to see, what would you say?
Thank you, God.
All right, then. Succinct. I like it. Stephen, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me on the Innovative Mindset podcast and talking about your story and your new book, Running to Win, and hopefully your future books as they come, as you learn more and as you go deeper down this road that you've started. This is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Innovative Mindset podcast. If you're enjoying the show, definitely go review it and subscribe, and you can hear more stories like Stephen's. Stephen, thank you once again for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure.
Until next time, this is Isolde Trachtenberg reminding you to listen, learn, laugh, and love a whole lot. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new. And if you like what you're hearing, please review it and rate it and let other people know. And if you'd like to be a sponsor of the show, I'd love to meet you on patreon.com/innovative mindset. I also have lots of exclusive goodies to share just with the show's supporters there. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright 2021. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, keep living in your innovative mindset.